Welcome to Powerful Women Revealed. I'm your host, Nicole Perry, and my guest today is Lauren Leduc Lemieux with Coaching to Fulfill Dreams. Lauren spent over 18 years working and not fulfilling her dreams, and now she is on fire helping people take action to fulfill their own dreams. So without further ado, here is another Powerful Woman Revealed. Welcome to the show, Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm thrilled to have you back. Let's talk about your past.
Yes.
You had 18 years working with your family.
Yes, I did.
Which some people would say is lucky.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because every time I say husband, mother, and stepfather, they all say, how could you have possibly done that? But when it was working well, it was a really great opportunity. But something shifted, and I realized about year 17 that I really needed to make a change.
You needed to make a change.
Yeah.
And so, you know, your business is Coaching to Fulfill Dreams.
Yes, ma'am.
And people can go to your website, you know, for more information. So ultimately, at this point in your life, you are now helping other people fulfill their dreams.
And I feel so blessed to be able to do that. And what I try to instill in people is trusting your own intuition through the hard choices that you have to make, and not allowing your perception or fear of what other people are going to think or react, let that affect you. Because at the end of the day, you have to put your head on the pillow at night, and the torment that you can feel when you're not living a life of purpose and you know you're not doing what you're meant to do is overwhelming.
Not living a life of purpose, and kind of living a life in fear. If you're afraid of what you don't have, you're living in fear, or if you're afraid of what you could have, you're living in fear. Either way, you're not living in the present.
Absolutely. And a life of purpose sounds really big, but it really is about knowing all along you're meant to do something. It's just you don't know how that would show up or what your options are. And for myself, being in the family business, I fell into it out of college. I was fortunate, you know, I had amazing opportunities.
Very lucky, some people would say.
And I had really good times. It wasn't all horrible by any means. It's just I got to that point in my life where I wasn't a kid anymore, and I realized that, you know, my whole professional career, my boss was my mom, essentially.
Yeah.
And I wondered, what could I do, you know, on my own? What could I do? Where was I supposed to be? Who was I supposed to be helping? You know, it was a boatyard where I worked, so you know, the connection with people was great to help them get their boats in the water, but I didn't feel like I was making such a powerful impact.
And it was you know, you probably had a lucrative career in what you were doing.
Right.
But did you feel like it was just a job?
Yes,
like it
absolutely.
It was a
paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a paycheck, and at the very end, there was a lot of transition going on, and I just could feel so very strongly that I was meant to do something else. And not to go overly dramatic, but when you wake up every morning and you cry in the shower before you head off to work, it's just not a productive, positive way.
And everybody has a bad day.
True.
I mean, you know, I love my job.
Right.
I love what I'm doing, but everybody has that moment where they might have a bad day, and that's not what you're talking about. Well, you're talking about 18 years of sort of, you know, maybe you fell into this path and it seemed right at the time.
Right, exactly.
And probably lots of great things came out of it.
Absolutely.
Your daughter.
Well, yeah, and I met my husband through someone I met through the boatyard. So. Again, it wasn't 18 years of misery by any stretch of the imagination.
Yes, but towards the end.
Towards the end, it's when I was tormented with that thought that I needed to do something else with my life. I was fortunate that, you know, my husband supported me. He works there too, so he could see that I needed to move on. It was my mom that I was most concerned about, because it was she and I essentially almost the whole time. And once there were some changes and other people were brought into the office, I realized that was my opportunity to go. And she didn't want to accept it. And when she finally did, it was scary for her, because she's like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm going to do.
I think that's amazing that you took a leap of faith and you knew that you didn't know what you wanted to do, but you knew what you were doing was keeping you stuck.
Right. And so it's like you know you don't know what you want to do, but you know without a shadow of a doubt it's not what you're doing.
Yes.
So it's like I was certain of that.
So in that clarity, you knew it to take that leap.
Right. And so it's like that old the old saying of, the definition of insanity, you do the same thing over and over and expect a different result.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew that even by going there every day and still doing the same job, I was not going to seek and have the fulfillment that I was craving. And I was blessed that my husband supported me, and eminently my mom does too. And now it's 2.5 years later, and I really am just living a dream.
Now, what was the scariest part about switching? Because I think you mentioned it was really your mom. You guys are like best friends.
Well, yeah, I'm an only child, so
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm an only child, and so I had pretty much was with my mom every day, for 18 years, working with her after college, and it was that feeling of disappointment. They had a vision for my life and my husband's life, and we were there together.
They, your mom and your stepdad.
And my stepdad, correct. So they had this vision, and so when I remember so vividly the day that I was crying at my desk because I just had a meltdown, and I apologized like a 4-year-old. I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm disappointing you, I just can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. And that was her revelation. Like, I was serious. It wasn't a flash in the pan. I wasn't having a bad day or a bad week or a bad month for that matter. I was really serious.
Yeah.
And it was the next day when she came in, all the way to work, because she had told me the day before we would talk about it, we would work it out. And all the way in, I was saying, just in my head, I kept saying over and over, I need her to be my mom and not my boss. I need her to see me as her daughter and what she wants for me to be happy, and not as losing an employee that would be very hard to replace because I did so much.
Detrimental to the business,
right?
yeah.
But I needed her to be my mom and not my boss. And when we sat on the porch that morning, she told me that she had an epiphany the night before, and it was time for her to be my mom and not my boss.
Nice.
And that in that moment, that was the definitive moment that I knew everything was going to be okay. I didn't know how, I didn't know where I was going, what I was going to do. But I knew everything was going to be okay.
I'm sure there are people listening and watching that have had the same feelings. And especially because it's a family business. It's not just a job for 18 years, in whatever industry.
Yeah.
It was 18 years with your family. So I'm sure people can relate. How do you feel now, 2.5 years later, when you're waking up every day and you know that you're helping other people that have been in similar circumstances as yourself?
I mean, that I think is my greatest reward. I mean, every time a client will tell me, I'm so glad I met you. You've changed my life. I don't know where I would be without you. It lights me up in a way that is so different than watching my daughter or being with my husband. It's just this sense of validation that I found what I was meant to do. And it's extraordinary.
Your purpose, your life purpose.
My purpose.
Everybody's got a life purpose.
Right.
We all, and some of us feel like we are kind of living it. And it might not even be in the perfect scenario that we think.
Right.
You're not a teacher, but I think you're, as a coach, you're teaching. There's a lot of teaching that goes along.
Right, because there's an element of looking at it from different perspectives and connecting to your values, and to not run away from the emotions that you feel. It's all about process and really
action
and action
and acknowledging.
At the end of the day, it's about taking action. You can tell me until you're blue in the face that you want to make a change, but until you actually do something towards it can be a tiny little movement, or it can be a huge radical jump. But it's that moment of realizing I got to stop talking about it and I got to take action. If it's that important to me, I got to do something about it.
And I love your website that has like a little flame on it. So, and that's why I said you're on fire now.
Yeah,
because you are
really
doing
am.
what you love.
I am.
And people can go to coachingtofulfilldreams.com
That's
if
right.
you want more information. So how do we know that the timing is right for us? Because I too have an encore career, and it really kind of, you know, fell. The path kind of fell in my way in a good way. And you know, like it did with you when you first started, which was a good way.
Right.
How do we know that we're missing something?
Right.
Because it's not always clear.
It really isn't. And there's this feeling of frustration or overwhelm or just that constant, I'm likening it right now to a cloud that's over you, that you see everything on the surface and you're looking at it and it makes perfect sense on paper. You just, something in your heart or your soul, there's like that tug. There's something that is just telling you you are meant to do more. And we're so trained to quiet those voices. And we're so trained to not think big and be safe and
because we have responsibilities, because we have the bills to pay, because you already have a job. You can't quit your job if you already have one. Oh my God, there's so many people in the world that need a job right now that don't have one. And because your children and your school is wrapped around, their school is wrapped around your work schedule. And that's why we're quieting the voices.
Yeah, there's so many variables.
All the things that we're responsible for.
Absolutely.
On a daily basis.
And when it gets to be that big picture, I was fortunate that my husband supported me and we were able to take this leap together. But I jumped without a parachute, and I don't recommend that at all because it's extraordinarily scary.
It was really, really courageous, though.
There was,
even though you have the support of your husband, you know, financially, it's still a courageous, bold, powerful move to just stop one business and start another.
Because it really was walking away from a set financial future. You know, and I really could come and go, and with my daughter, if I needed to leave, I would leave and do work from home.
Family, you know,
and
gotta go to the dentist.
And it wasn't even just the people who were true, like blood family. All the guys that I worked with, you know, they were my guys. I would go to battle for each and every one of them, and I still miss that camaraderie of working with them. And telling some of them I was leaving was probably harder at sometimes than, you know, talking to my mom, because we had a relationship for so many years and they were such great guys. But you just know. And people saw it in me instantaneously. When I made when my mother and I agreed that I would be leaving, and it was like a 90-day process that we put in place. You know, we brought someone in and I started training. I would see people, you know, weeks, days, months after, and they were like, what happened to you? Like, you just look so different. And I'm like, I'm happy. I'm relieved. And like, what are you going to do? And I would say, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, I didn't realize, and I didn't even really research coaching until, you know, January, when I was almost done with the boat yarn. So I really didn't know what I was going to do until that lapse where it really was that crossover of time.
And as you said, everything really comes down to choice. So you chose to stay there.
Not realizing it, too.
And not even realizing it, because, subconsciously, everything is a choice.
Right.
So you chose to stay there, and then you made that choice to leave. You know, what are some of the little steps that we can do to get that unstuck, or to take that small step?
Well,
I guess acknowledging.
And
acknowledging is the first step.
And talking and talking about it, making it real. Because if we keep things to ourselves, there's no accountability. There's no one to say, oh, well, you mentioned you wanted to do that, so, you know, where'd that go? And I think we keep things to ourselves, that our dreams and our hopes and our, you know, ideas that we have. But as soon as you share it with someone, It's like someone else knows.
Did you keep a journal during this time?
I was never a journal person.
Yeah, because writing things down is key too.
It really is, and a lot of people find it very cathartic to write it out. But for me, it's about
it was talking it out.
Yeah, it was being very clear as to the vision of my life that I saw for myself. Again, I knew it wasn't there. I didn't know where it was. So if you envision the road that you're traveling on, right, and you see this long road in front of you, sometimes it's curvy, sometimes there's fog, sometimes there's trees and bushes, and you don't know which way you're going. But every time you come to an intersection, you have to make a choice which way to go.
That's right.
And you make that choice and you go with it. And pretty soon after making that choice if it was the one that you were meant to make. I hesitate on saying right or wrong because I don't really believe in things being right or wrong, because I believe everything happens for a reason. I really do. So it's about the best advice I could give about making choices like that is just trying to trust your intuition.
Really, totally. You have to trust yourself, And what happens if we go through life without trusting our intuition and following our dreams and, letting ourselves be the person that we were meant to be and have purpose? We're not really living. We're not really living, and we're not being. Your friend said at the boat, you became a new person.
Yeah, I really did, and that whole mindset. As we get older, it's eminent that you're gonna lose people in your life, right? And we're always affected by that. But when you lose people in your life who are young and vibrant, and there's no good reason, I was touched by someone very, very powerful in my life, and she was fighting cancer. And a month after I gave my notice, I said to her, she's like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. I said, I just want to help people and inspire them, motivate them to really understand they can do whatever they want to do. They think other people are holding themselves back, but they're holding themselves back from what they expect how they will react or what they will say. And she's like, whoa, that sounds like coaching. And I said, well, what the bleep is coaching? And she's like, well, it sounds like it's something you should look into. And that's how I found coaching.
And you said you've your whole life, even working at the boatyard and probably previous, you've always been coaching other people.
Yeah. I joke around with my parents that, when I was a junior in high school, thinking ahead, like I was going off to college, and I remember at one point really sensing that they weren't happy. And I overheard them one day say that once I went to college, then they would get a divorce. And I really, I busted in, and I was like, guys, what are you doing? Like, why wait? Like, what are you waiting for? So I essentially gave my parents the okay at 16 to get a divorce because they were making me unhappy, and they were unhappy. And even at the age of 16, I knew that life was just too short to be miserable. So it's those decisions, as scary, like when you think divorce, job change.
But they thought they were making the best decision.
Right. And
which many people do, stay together for the children. But really you saw that so clearly.
And those are the moments in my life when I say I've been coaching my whole life. That's what I think of to those moments. And with my friends and just people in my life where I've always tried to ask the questions about them, what they're feeling, what their thoughts are, not what I think they should do or give them advice. Friends and siblings and spouses and parents, they do their best to protect you and what they think you should do. Well, you shouldn't quit your job, you should stay. I mean, you have a great gig, why would you want to leave? And for me, the way I've always been, it's that very simple question: what do you want to do? What do you want to do?
And it sounds like you didn't really have to defend yourself because you had support.
I did have support.
But a lot of people out there, excuse me, almost have to defend the notion of changing careers, shifting a new path, and you have to defend yourself because you have all these responsibilities, and so you feel like you're almost going this defense mode.
Right, and I was fortunate. I did have an element of that with people, but I didn't buy into it.
Yeah.
I pretty much would tell people, you don't have to agree with me.
Yeah.
It's my life. You can have whatever opinion you want to have about my decisions, but at the end of the day, they're my decisions. And if my husband, even my daughter was 11 at the time, and with her, it was like she would always come with me to work, and then we weren't going to work, and it was a little awkward. So I finally said to her one day, I said, you understand why Mom's not at the boatyard? And she just looked at me in a typical 11-year-old fashion and said, oh, Mom, you're so much happier. As an 11-year-old, yeah.
Oh.
So those are the people that it matters to me. And the people close to me were like, rock on, you do what you got to do. And I didn't have that many naysayers. It was only the people who were looking at the reality and the nuts and bolts of it and the how are you going to make it work. And I was honest. I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
I said, I know it's going to work out somehow. And so far, so good.
So far, so good.
Yeah, yeah.
So what is the core of your coaching style?
For me, I was trained through Coaches Training Institute, and their belief is coactive coaching, which means together the client and the coach work together to move the client in a direction they want to go. So when I have a coaching session with someone, which primarily is over the phone, I'm very in tune to listening to more than what their words are. I listen to their inflections. I listen
tone of voice.
Tone of voice, pace of speech, pausing, little things. If they're telling me something completely scary or miserable, but they laugh at the end, right?
Oh.
I question. I ask them what the laugh was, and I use a lot of metaphor and a lot of to bring in other perspectives. I love
metaphors.
Yeah,
they're so fun.
it's amazing, and
it really helps you wrap your brain around. Oh, hello! It's like such light bulb moments.
It really is.
The little metaphors. I love them.
One of the best tools that I enjoy using is when someone's in that place of being stuck, not knowing where they want to go. We take a hot air balloon ride visually. And we just get in a basket and we raise up above and we look down on our life and we try to really imagine what is going on and how we want it to look and how you see your actions right now, what comes back to you. And
that is really fun.
It's amazing how it's all about visualization and taking yourself out of the moment.
Yeah.
And being really connecting so powerfully to yourself. I mean,
but
the
it's
essence
almost
of coaching is
but
that.
It's making me think of imagination. Like really going back to childhood almost, and look at the farmers. Gosh, I really always wanted to be a vet.
Right.
Or just
and
watching.
That's something we do as well.
Right. And then seeing a pool in someone's backyard, and then thinking, God, spa. I'm so attracted to water. Or really sort of
going back and what did you used to like to do as a kid? When you're trying to figure out, I don't know what to do with my life. What do I want to do? And some people say, well, I always wanted to, play baseball, or I always wanted to be a lawyer, or whatever it was. So if you pick those apart, what was it about being a baseball player?
That's right.
That you like?
Because it might not look exactly today as I've always wanted to be a ballerina. Right. Of course, threw that out the window a long time ago since I never had lessons and size 12 and over and all that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but so the ballerina was really performing. So here I am performing a little bit. So there's different things that, like you said, you can pick apart, and you can pick apart everything and analyze any career.
Right, and when you allow yourself that time to go back to that 10, 11-year-old self or 6-year-old self, or how far back you can remember, it gives you pause. And what coaching does is affords you the opportunity to do that in a safe, no judgment zone where you say whatever it is you are feeling, saying, and it's not for me to say that's wrong, that's right. That's not what it's about. It's about validating what you're saying.
And coaching is not about the coach telling the other person what to do.
Absolutely not.
I feel like so many people get this
misconception, yeah. And people, there's this crossover between counseling, coaching, consulting, especially in the business realm, you know, about strategies and strategic planning, and then there's definitely a place for that because people need those tools.
Yes.
But from the place of coaching, it is not about the coach giving advice. You know, we offer ideas, perspectives, challenges even, to say, you know, if you said something about always wanting to be a ballerina, and that's like, well, then go take ballerina classes.
Well, I'm taking dancing lessons.
Right? So then if you would say, oh, well, I don't want to do that, but I would go to a ballet or something. So it's not that what I say is what you have to do, but it gives you pause to be clear and think, okay, so what am I going to do to move myself forward? And coaching can take anything from new job, you know, leaving a spouse, or just, it could be happy things. It could be trying to work in, how do I get more family time into my life? You know, what's the value of that? It's about you and what you need to live your best life.
Yes, and you have the credentials to help guide the person, and different tools to help give them that different perspective. It's not necessarily right or wrong or better or worse, and it's also the other individual, the client, being open-minded to sort of see what potentials are out there. You have to be open-minded, you have to be coachable.
Well, and there's that you just touched on something very powerful. A coaching relationship will only work if the client wants to be coached.
Yeah, you can't, you can lead a horse to water, right?
So many people say, I know somebody, they so need a coach.
Oh, you.
And I say, well, that's great, but if they don't want a coach,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Even if you pay for it.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
Even if you give it as a gift.
Exactly. And what I find is, even when, I love when people say, are you coaching me? You know, like, it's just innately the conversation shifts, because a normal conversation between friends, colleagues, siblings is, okay, so you tell your story, and then the person usually will talk about themselves in a similar light. So they'll take what you said and reflect it back on them, and you have this banter back and forth, comparing notes almost.
Yes.
A coaching conversation has none of that.
Oh.
My stuff does not come in. Whether I think it, it's like that you drop to level 1 and you make a connection, but you quickly remember that that's not.
So you can't really give examples.
It's not that you can't. It's just, it's much more beneficial for the client to recognize things on their own.
And it's the tools that you use from taking the coaching courses that help guide you, so that when the client says something, you know where to show them to go to think about next. You're kind of giving them thoughts to ponder.
Exactly. And it's not about, like, you would think that if someone came to me about leaving a family business, you know, usually they'll say, I need advice, what do I do? You did it. And that's not what it's about at all. It doesn't matter one bit what I did, what I experienced, how I left. Doesn't matter.
No, but because you had this experience, if somebody did come to you and they had a similar story where they worked with family, maybe it was 5 years, or maybe they worked 18 years at a business and it wasn't family, or something like that.
Long-term relationship.
Yeah, you have that ability to relate even on a deeper level.
I think so, and then there's the intimacy with coaching is very strong, and like most things, you have to have a connection with a coach. Nowadays, there's, you know, you Google coaching, and there's so many. I mean, hundreds of thousands probably will pop up.
Well, this is why, and I understand that, and I know that because I have many coaches. But this is why having a niche, I feel like, is really key.
Absolutely.
Because when you're in a business, you need to focus on one client, you know?
Absolutely.
And other clients can come into play. You know, so if I'm, you know, a teacher of something, you know, knitting or sewing, my one client is this one client that kind of looks like a certain person. Doesn't mean that men don't come and learn to knit and sew. But so with coaching, I really think that it's important to find somebody that has that niche.
Yeah, that knows that it's not that they've experienced it before, but they have the mindset. Like they have the, you know, the focus on wanting to help you in that specific area. I mean, there's a coach, like you said, you have many.
Well, you have nutritional coaches that sort of fine tune and help you with nutrition. You know, there's other coaches in the world. There's business coaches that, you know, can help you with your numbers in your business. There's different, very specific, and I love that you have a very specific gift that you bring to the table.
And with me, I really think transition, although it's not as fine-tuned as career or nutrition, transition is a very big word because it can mean so many different things.
Oh, yeah.
But I am so motivated by empowering people to own their power to choose. And every decision you make, it's yours. Own it. And those are the transitions that people are making to get from one point to the other, where when you have one person that you can tell them how you're feeling and bouncing your thoughts, your fears, without that added stress of hearing what they think. Like, so I'm not going to tell you what I think you should do. I want to know what you think.
Yeah, you're not a best friend.
Right.
Yeah, and people can go to your website for lots of information.
Absolutely.
At coachingtofulfilldreams.com.
That's right.
Okay. So when we are in transition, we're putting ourselves in a really vulnerable position.
Absolutely.
Which is good.
It is good.
Vulnerability is a good thing.
But it's super scary.
Yeah.
Super scary. And when you push yourself outside your comfort zone, you know, they say that's when life happens, right? Outside your comfort zone. But to be so vulnerable to, again, acknowledge what it is you want for yourself. It's a trust that people have to work up to. And I think when you have a coach, that's part of the very first session. You know, the designing the alliance with our clients. We make it clear that, you know, what we say, what you say, it's about the relationship. And one of my favorite, you know, things I clarify with my clients is sometimes I'm just gonna say something and I'm gonna blurt it out. And what I would love for you to remember is that there's no attachment. It's up to you to clarify, to tell me I'm full of it, and then offer what it is that you're really feeling. So it's like the energy, you know, the pinging back and forth.
What'd you say? A soundboard?
A soundboard, exactly, like a soundboard. So if you say something and I catch it and I say, well, it sounds like, and I go into something, and they say, well, it's really not about that so much as it's about this.
And then you get deeper. You just get deeper.
Right, and it just keeps kind of morphing into this awesome conversation that is all focused on the client.
And then the vulnerability turns everything into intention.
Absolutely.
Because once you put yourself in that vulnerable, I feel this coming from my own personal life.
Right.
When I've put myself in that vulnerability, I focus on choice and I focus on intention. What is my intention?
Absolutely. And that's so powerful. How many times have we been offended or we've been hurt because we've taken something not how it was intended? So there's so much to learn, not only about how we act towards people, but to remember that when people act, their intention most of the time is not to cause us strife or stress or hurt or anger. We just take what they do that way.
Really? Most of the time?
Right?
I'm just kidding.
Right? But if you think about the things you get upset about.
I know.
And usually you get upset because you hold a value around whatever it is that you're getting upset about. So when people are constantly late, right? If people who are late annoy you to no end.
Yeah.
It's almost a guarantee that you hold a value about being punctual.
Yes.
And that you respect people enough to be on time when you say you're going to be on time.
Yes, but you can't hold it personally
When other people are late.
and think that they're being late on purpose because they know that
Exactly.
you don't like people being late.
Bingo. That's exactly
I'm a
what
late gal.
But that's exactly what it is. You
Yeah.
know, and it doesn't excuse behavior, but you don't take it personally. It has
Yeah.
nothing to, their decisions and their choices have nothing to do with you.
Well, we make up stories.
We do.
And the stories are not factual. So you can't
Make
go
assumptions.
by anything that's not a fact.
Yeah, I read this one book, and if there's one thing that I can offer, it's from Don Miguel Ruiz. It's called The Four Agreements. And
Oh.
it's about, you know, you always do your best, you are impeccable with your word, you don't take things personally, and you don't make assumptions. Those last two, for me, I use that with my coaching all the time. Because so many times people don't have conversations, they don't do things because they assume they know how the other person is going to react or how things will turn out.
Yeah.
They tell it, the stories just, they go in their head. And there's no way, and no matter what has happened up to that point, you know, there is no true way that if you express yourself clearly and keep it about you and what you want, that you can, one, know what the other person is going to say, or two, be responsible for it. Because it's theirs, it's not yours. And
what are
that
these-
is so important.
What are these for? Don't take things personally, don't assume, and what were the other two?
Always do your best and be impeccable with your word.
And so best and impeccable. Sorry, I'm writing it
No,
down.
that's okay. It's a great little book.
I want to look at that up. And if you're doing all of those four agreements, you're basically in alignment with who you are. And if you're in alignment with who you are, then anything anybody does is not really going to faze you.
Exactly. And that's, I think, what is the so powerful about this little book. And that on a bigger scale is what coaching can bring to someone's life. Because it reminds people that you are, some people they're not ready. They're not ready to say that I'm fully responsible for my own happiness. They're not ready for that. That's some people feel it's a huge responsibility.
Ownership, taking ownership.
So sometimes it's easier to just go through the motions and stay in a unsatisfying job or an unsatisfying relationship or whatever they're staying and they're choosing to stay. And sometimes that is most of the time easier than making the transitions.
Well, and there you go. It's easier. You just said it. So the things that take effort in life, those are the things that are worth
it.
Working hard for.
Right.
So if it's not taking that much effort and it's just easier to stay stuck and easier to stay here where I'm at, you know, you're not really living.
Yeah, and you know that you're missing something. You always have that sense of missing something. You just don't know what it is. And
Now I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, we didn't talk about guilt yet.
Oh, just guilt.
And
that little thing?
well, because there was we did the radio show,
Yeah.
and there was a good portion of the radio show where you talked about guilt.
Yeah.
And how, you know, it's sort of that goes back to the defending ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, where
Which
we're
I still feel every once in a while. Because now, I mean, remember that it's, for myself, it's when I hear stories of what's going on, or, you know, knowing that I could have kept on going and kept the perfect little scenario. And when I am so...
And you could have been okay happy. You know,
Okay, yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah.
you have a life, you have a husband, daughter, family,
Right.
you know, but it would have been it would have been okay.
It would have been okay. And it's okay wasn't an option for me.
There's so many opportunities to really live your life's purpose. You only have one life.
You really do. That is
and
so true.
And people forget, or you only have one body. And people forget that we only have this one shot.
Right.
You know, if a light bulb goes off today, make a change.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think, you know, for me, it's all about, you know, obviously gratitude is huge. You know, being grateful for the opportunities that I have, and even when you're in a situation where you don't feel like you're happy or
Yeah.
things aren't the way you want them to be, always try to find gratitude, because it was like when you're grateful and you bring that into your life, it shows up in
I'm
other
shaking my head
ways.
no, but I'm thinking yes in my head. I don't know why I'm shaking my head no, but gratefulness, every time I do it, it's like a huge wave, not even of emotion, but just clarity.
Yeah, it really
comes
does.
over you.
It really does, and even in the times where you're asking in the very sad, like, what is going on? Like, why is this happening? Like, I don't understand. Just being grateful for being able to be in that place of trying to figure it out, not being consumed by it. Understand that it's a passing moment. It's not going to last forever. Things change every second of the day. And when you open yourself up to opportunity to wait for the next thing, you know, you have to be ready to, it's almost like that opportunity knocks, you have to be ready to answer the door type situation. But it's gratitude and just setting an intention for your day is so powerful.
Now, we're almost out of time.
Oh boy.
If you could change anything about, I don't know, anything.
Well, I feel like that's a double-edged question for me, because I joke around that had I had a coach, I probably would have left a long time before.
Oh.
But had I done that, I wouldn't have had the experiences
to become a coach.
Right, the way it transpired. So, you know, again, I go back to the everything happens for a reason. And it shows up for me. It's a constant reminder that when I'm at a place where, like, it's even still, it's like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, how am I making this work?
And you're waking up every day just on fire, not crying in the shower.
No,
just thrilled to be alive and grateful and helping other people.
And and again, it's like, if I say that if I can go to bed, if I can wake up happy and inspired, be grateful for my coaching clients, help at least one person every day, and go to bed happy and fulfilled, it's a good day.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
I love you so much, and you're a big sister.
I am a big sister, absolutely.
And a BNI sister.
I am BNI as well.
Oh, yay. All right. Well, thank you. Oh my gosh, you're bringing tears to my eyes.
Thank you. You're sweet.
You are lovely, and thank you again. I want to thank you so much for watching Powerful Women Revealed. Knowledge is powerful, and my mission is to connect powerful women to you in a fun, entertaining, and educational way. There are so many women entrepreneurs in today's world, and 8 out of 10 entrepreneurs are women. I learned so much from powerful women and powerful coaching as well. I wouldn't be who I am today without the support of coaching, or the coaching that has helped me, guide me, keep me on track. Okay, can we restart? Because I screwed up 3 times. So backtrack a second. All right. Ready, Logan? Okay. I want to thank you so much for watching Powerful Women Revealed. Knowledge is powerful, and my mission is to connect powerful women to you in a fun, entertaining, and educational way. There are so many women entrepreneurs in today's world, and 8 out of 10 entrepreneurs are women. I learned so much from powerful women and powerful coaching as well. I wouldn't be who I am today without the support of the coaching that has helped guide me, keep me on track, and open my eyes to new and wider perspectives. What I love about Lauren is that she took charge of her own life, and she made the decision to live without worrying about the how. And she had the courage to see it and change it. So many of us worry about the hows, that we can get stuck in a career and be afraid to change because of the circumstances surrounding us. Lauren truly knows what she is meant to do now, and that is help others see that they can get unstuck and they can live the life of their dreams. Lauren is filled with the desire to help others see that there is hope and that there are possibilities for a brighter and different future that you've always dreamed of. Regardless of what career you are in, if you are not living the life you've always dreamed of, Lauren is clearly the perfect example that you still can. I am so proud, I'm getting goosebumps again. I am so proud to promote Lauren and Women in Business. I love shining a great big magnifying glass on how these amazing women are changing lives in and beyond our communities. Powerful Women Revealed is about strengthening who we are together, empowering women of all ages to follow their dreams, and bringing a spark of inspiration to the entrepreneurial career women of our future. I hope you will tune in next time. Until then, I'm your host, Nicole Perry, and I want to thank you for watching Powerful Women Revealed.